Toby Hadoki, who does a...
Yeah, Toby Hadoki, yeah.
Toby Hadoki.
Toby Hadoki?
We kept telling him...
Julian Hadoki.
We kept saying he got his name spelled wrong, it should be H-A-W-O-C-K. There we go. Anyway, no, it was great, it was a really good time, fantastic time, yeah.
Good stuff. Are you enjoying doing the convention circuit?
I love it, yes.
Yeah, cool, excellent. Because you did that minutes ago, we joked about it, but you crossed classic to new series, that's pretty cool. And Graham Harper was, of course, is your director of both the stories.
Yes, yeah.
But your Dalek story with Colin Baker, we were talking about this last night, and Terry, you were in it as well. What a really iconic story that is, because it was a bit out there, wasn't it?
Well, it wasn't, it was, yeah, and it actually was less of a doctor story than a Davros story.
Yeah, the doctor didn't look.
Yeah, it was a very, dark. Dark.
Yeah.
Very gothic.
Yeah. Yes.
And Graham, ran it that way, beautifully.
Yeah.
So it was,
a lot of brave decisions made there, and to go with that,
Fantastic cast.
Yes.
Eleanor Bron, Clive Swift, William Gordon,
Alexei Sale,
Terry
Molloy, Colin Spaull. It was a really good story. So of the three Davros stories you did, obviously we did Remembrance, Revelation and Resurrection. Not Genesis. But did you, obviously you didn't know when you did the first one that you were going to get asked back to do the subsequent ones, but did you think about a character sort of development throughout it and where Davros was going? Did you start to sort of, as you did the second and the third one, were you thinking about, right, what can I do with this character, where can I take it, is there something interesting happening here?
When I was asked to do the second one, that's when I really began to think about it, because I thought, well, I don't want to just repeat what we'd done when we did Resurrection, which was, in a sense, carrying on from where Michael had sort of handed it over, and David. I wanted to find an element that was beyond the rant, beyond the Third Reich feeling of the original Genesis, which, don't get me wrong, was fantastic. I think it was probably one of the best of the Davros stories, if not the best. And I write myself out of it as well. They did a cracking job setting that character up. When we were talking about it, I said, look, I'd just like to try and inject a bit of humour into it, a bit of black humour, so perhaps we got lines like, the consumer confidence line, when we were talking about dead bodies, it was beginning to develop that, as well as develop Mask, because obviously the Mask was, you couldn't move inside the damn thing, you really had to sort of pull your face around inside to try and get any movement on the outside, because we didn't have the prosthetics that they've got nowadays.
And Colin, obviously, how iconic is this? Daleks and Cybermen. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But when you were childhood friends with Graham Harper, weren't you?
Graham and I were at drama school together from about the age of 11. Many years.
So why do you think Graham shifted from acting to directing? Was he a crap actor?
He was very good, was Graham, and he did an awful lot of work as a young man. He just fell out of love with acting. He just wanted to get behind the camera, and he's been so successful.
Thank God he did.
Such a nice guy as well.
Because I think that, we all accuse of Annie won the best story of all time, and it was the first story where I was aware it was being directed. You didn't really think of that before, especially with a show like Doctor Who, which obviously works on budgets and time constraints, and directors, I imagine, didn't have a lot of time to think about framing and moving the camera and doing stuff like that. But Graham was extremely inventive. Did you get a sense of that even early on, that he was going to have that kind of eye? Did he love of cinema, for example?
Yes, and he always wanted, he still wants to make a Western. So I'm hoping for a part in that. But yeah, he's keen on Western, but no, he's always liked film. He does find that a great medium to work in. He loves it.
Yeah. And Terry, what's your thoughts on Graham Harper? You've worked with him as well, obviously, in your Dalek story. So, what were did you think at the time, this guy, he's got something a little bit special?
Absolutely. He's a delight to work with. Because I did that one. And then he asked me to do a Bergerac, and he asked me to play this film director. It was a film within a film, if you like, where this film director they were making a feature film with Warren Clark, made this nasty Nazi in Jersey, and there was a big insurance scandal. So I was playing this. It was meant to be a camp American film director. Well, I don't do camp, as everyone knows.
I beg difference.
I said, no, I'm going to play him as a mad Irishman, which I did. Not only that, but I basically modelled it on Graham. Because Graham is this incredibly bouncy, energetic director. And he basically said to me, look, here's a second unit crew, just background of shots, whenever we're doing any shots stuff, one in the background just directing. So there was me and Pete McCulloch, who was meant to be my first, and we were just carrying on in the background, and it was like 4 or 5 days we would shoot, we got the rushes back. You said you were doing me. I said, yep, too late, can't do anything about it now. But he got it, he got his own back, because there was a party scene where we'd shot it, and it was full of page 3 girls, and there was people in the dance with page 3 girls. And at one point, one of the props people gave me this drink which had lots of umbrellas in it. When he cut it together, he cut me and Peter McCulloch together dancing. And he rang me up and said, gotcha.
So, Colin, you did the Dalek story, and then 20 years later, you get a call from Graham again, you know, you want to come and do Doctor Who again.
Yeah.
So, are there any distinct, apart from budgets, the obvious differences that we can see on screen, what are the differences in terms of how television's made now to way back then?
Well, the main reason, the difference between when I did it 27 years ago and the new one, is rehearsal time. When we rehearsed the BBC rehearsal rooms, and we had a week. We all sat around a big table on the Monday morning, and we read through it, and a rough timing was taken for the story. Then we all got up, we blocked it, and moved it around, and then you start sort of trying to bring some sort of character. And at least you had that week to gel with your other actors, to know what sort of how they're going to play the scene and how you can play it back, and things like that. And you had a lot of time to gel and put some input in, and Graham puts input in, and then you say, no, I won't do it that way, and you come to a compromise and you do it that way. And then, but when you come to do the new series, it's a case of just getting down to Cardiff, learning your lines, and then you probably get a couple of camera rehearsals, and then let's do it, boys. And that is the main difference. And it's the same with any television these days. Not that you just don't rehearse anymore.
It's that awful thing, you turn up on the set, you know, and you're introduced to somebody, and the next minute you're either doing a dying scene or a love scene.
Yeah,
you've never had any, you know, input to do that, you know.
Yeah.
So I remember the very first Doctor Who I did, you know, we were in the rehearsal room, the actors, this lovely old, 27-story block, and everything was rehearsed there, you know. You'd have, you know, Mike Yarr would show rehearsing next door, and Malcolm and Wise at the floor above, you know, everything was done in these rehearsal rooms. And I remember the producer's run, and during the producer's run, he liked to have the Dalek, the proper Daleks with the full thing on, and the Dalek operators up to them going down with just the bottoms on.
Yeah.
When I came down from lunch, there was nobody in the rehearsal room, there was just the 3 Daleks sitting in the corner with their tops on, setting up ready to do the one. You know, I just wandered across to pick my script up, and as I walked past these Daleks, 3 eye stalks followed me around. These are my boys. But you know that time of rehearsal was really, really special.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's gone now.
Yeah.
The way the businesses work to times and money and things like that.
So did you feel, coming back to the new show, Colin, is there more pressure for time? I mean, obviously they're really time to get things done. Is there a bit more pressure put on you as an actor?
Yes, I think so. I mean, yeah, there is. I mean, they've got to get it. They've got to come within budget, and they've got a certain amount of time to shoot that scene before they need to move on. Yes, there is pressure. Yeah, right. More so than when we did it. We had more time, as I say, 26 years ago.
For both of you experiences in Doctor Who, a sense of a lot of an actor's nightmare, and there's so much technical things going on. I mean, you're surrounded by Daleks that, you know, I'm sure bumped into things and, you know, always get going wrong, and you had men in Cybermen costumes, Roger Lloyd Pack in a wheelchair, you know, it's like everything around you. Did that cause, were any problems doing that, or did it cause any problems on set?
No, I think there were some times with the Daleks all trying to get out of the door at once or something, in that story we did. Crashed. But the thing I remember about when we went to the studio to start shooting Revelation, you came out of the makeup room at the side of the studio. You came out with, you know, like a cup of coffee and the Davros head on, and he came out and he looked at me and said, "Oh, I got a head on me this morning."
That's true.
It was true. Yeah.
That was before I was into makeup. Actually, this is the mask.
Was it coffee through a straw when you did the mask on?
No, you could drink it, but I didn't actually drink. I mean, there's an iconic photo floating around of me in just a t-shirt with slowly a cup of coffee. It actually wasn't a cup of coffee at all. It was a cup of food dye. Right. Which they used just before we got into the chair and everything, to black my tongue out. Right. So I just had to gargle with this black food dye to finish off the process of, you know, getting everything inside the mouth black.
How long does that stay on for?
still there.
Is it easy to wash off, or